As a satire of corny late-night comedy, Late Night with the Devil succeeds. But as a horror movie, it stumbles because as a whole, it's more silly than scary. Juggling demonic possession, hypnotism, and spiritism, the viewer is brought along for a wild but unfocused ride. A bad acid trip B-movie with a 90-minute runtime. It begins with an 8-minute voiceover explaining the backstory of its main character, host Jack Delroy, his competition with Johnny Carson, his wife's cancer diagnosis, and his alleged ties to a pagan cult. The style of this opening pays tribute to a sensationalist documentary from 1981 called The Killing of America. The film painted a picture of an America on the decline, focusing on serial killers and mass shootings. It was produced by Toho Studios and released in Japan, but didn't receive a commercial North American release until 2013. The Killing of America has been reappraised as an exploitation classic, but the reference in Late Night with the Devil isn't going to be instantly recognizable to most audiences.
A time of fear and violence.
We are entering a satanic age.
They will laugh. They will tell you why they have to kill.
The lead, Jack Delroy, is played delightfully by David Dastmalchian, who is recognizable from his numerous supporting roles in heavy hitters from directors Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. On the surface, Delroy is an affable celebrity, but underneath is desperate to maintain his popularity and is willing to sell his soul for ratings. Dastmalchian was hired after Australian directors the Cairn brothers read an article he wrote for Fangoria magazine about television horror hosts. The introduction proclaims the following footage to be real, but the movie goes so off the rails with low-budget effects that it becomes obvious that this is a mockumentary. Once worms burst out of a man's stomach, any chance that this could be real footage has evaporated into the ether. Late Night with the Devil is partially inspired by a 1992 BBC program called Ghostwatch, which emulated a television documentary so well that the station received phone calls from viewers who thought it was real, drawing comparisons to Orson Welles' radio broadcast of War of the Worlds in 1938. Late Night with the Devil draws influence from the found footage subgenre, but it's not going to convince a viewer that it's real in the way the Blair Witch Project might. Ghostwatch is a convincing fake, because until the finale it is very cut and dry, with no sense of exaggeration. It has the tedious pacing of a live television event. Though Late Night with the Devil isn't as well crafted, its parody of a 1970s talk show, complete with lame monologue, phoned-in jokes, goofy sidekick, and kooky guests, is more fun to behold. The black and white behind-the-scenes footage doesn't bring veracity to the presentation, but helps to build a character arc. The audience needs to understand Delroy's backstory in order for the conclusion to make sense, therefore the exposition drop at the beginning and the quote-unquote behind-the-scenes footage. The movie is tethered to the structure of a talk show, but concludes as a horror comedy with wacky psychedelia. The possession subgenre tropes are all present: levitation, projectile vomit, and an exploding head. The cliché of the young innocent girl turning demonic and spewing profanity has been done to death at this point. The Exorcist released in 1973, and filmmakers around the world are still chasing that high. The character of the hypnotist, Carmichael Haig, brought on as a skeptic, is based on stage magician James Randi, who spent his career exposing grifters who used claims of the supernatural for financial gain. Randi most famously caught televangelist conman Peter Popoff using an earpiece while he claimed to be in communication with God. It was in fact his wife who was feeding him information gathered by passing out prayer request cards before the show. Popoff filed for bankruptcy after his fraud was exposed on the Johnny Carson show, but he returned later in life to sell a product called Miracle Water. The story of James Randi and Peter Popoff actually sounds like it would make for an interesting movie. In Late Night with the Devil, Haig is a heel rather than a hero, because he is denying the existence of the supernatural in a horror movie. The production design is accurate to the era, though the quality of the image is too crisp to fully suspend disbelief. The Cairn brothers pushed back against criticism of AI to create stationary images used in the movie. They revealed that AI was used to create the images, with finishing touches accomplished by artists. It would be preferable for an artist to create the image and use AI for fine-tuning rather than the other way around. This being said, the images are a very small piece of the movie. Late Night with the Devil was funded by 6 production companies spread across Australia, America, and the United Arab Emirates. The VFX budget was only $150,000 or $500 per effect. The sets and costumes are thought out well, but the CG in the finale falls short as a result of a lack of funds. It's difficult to say whether the film was a financial success or not because I don't have the exact budget available, though it made just under $12 million worldwide, and streaming rights were sold to Shudder. It could pick up steam as a midnight movie for its humor and charm, though die-hard horror fans may be disappointed by its lack of true scares.